seat and they do everything. Yeah, they don't want.
Hey, good morning or good afternoon now.
Good afternoon.
How are you, Lisa?
Good, how are you?
Good.
And I don't know who, can we figure out who 232 3600 is? It's gonna be one of these. Oh, you know what it is.
The COMIDA salary?
Yeah, well,
Or-
we list the people and their functions.
Hi, Lisa. Hi, Joe.
How are you?
About that
Good.
Oh.
Yeah.
What's the real estate business?
As they're obviously.
It's good. It's good, not as crazy as it was this summer and spring, which I'm happy about.
Not bad. I bet.
And then over here, we don't even address.
Let's Google the number,
So I-
Google the
I
number.
guess
Maybe it'll give
you know,
us the
there's
company.
gap, right? And then we say there's no. employees,
Five,
because
eight,
there really
five.
aren't.
Right.
Unless
Are
you're-
we already streaming? Looks like.
Are you
Yes,
streaming?
yeah,
Streaming?
okay.
Yes.
You know,
Okay.
and
Yes.
between the
Yes,
two.
we are. And
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Thanks. Thanks for the heads up on that. Right.
Oh, it's Jim Costanza.
We have a quorum, don't we?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Five.
Tony.
I'm here.
Yep, we're taking
Oh,
attendance.
6, I guess. Is Jay not attending?
Should be. All right.
Hi, Tony.
Hi. Was that Joe?
Yeah, how are you?
I'll call you back.
Good. Good, Joe.
Hey, looks like Jay is on. Troy is on. Hey, Rhett. We can't hear you. Hey, Jay.
Good morning or good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Okay, looks like we have a quorum. Got the staff on board. Everybody's here. I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. And the first item on the agenda is to approve the minutes from our September 21 meeting. May I have a motion to approve?
I'll motion in.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Jay. Any additions, corrections? All those in favor say aye.
Hi.
Opposed? Motion carries. Kevin Loki is going to give us an update on our local labor monitoring. Kevin?
Yep. Good afternoon. So I have the September monthly report. This will cover our visits between September 1st and September 30th. During this period, made 63 monthly site visits. There were no follow-up visits made during the month of September. We checked with residency with 356 workers. We did not have any issues of non-compliance. USRE Manitou, as far as the numbers we recorded, that project, we had 351 local, 232 out of area. That job is about 63% right now, overall compliance. As of September 30th, all monitored sites are in compliance, and we had no new signs delivered in the month of September as well. So a little slower than normal for us.
So the compliance to date is actually the project to date, and their goal is 70%.
That's correct.
And they're around 63, 64%.
Right now they are, with the most recent number, yes.
But there's work coming up that'll get them to catch up, right?
Yeah, I mean, we're hoping that obviously once they start to have more of the finishing trades on site and they start to gear up on the interior, that will have more local contractors. But you know, like they have a roofing company that's fully out of area that's there right now. You know, I think they are trying to make strides with getting local. And I mean, I know that Troy is also helping to work with them as well, and, you know, making as much local as we can, but that's just where this job is right now.
Okay. Any questions from the board on Kevin's report? Okay, hearing none. Thank you very much, Kevin.
You're welcome. Have a great day.
You too. So our next agenda item is to review the local labor exemption report. And I understand Brian is not with us today, Brian LaFountain from Bonadeo. Is there someone on the team there that's going to go over the update? Anna's nodding her head, so.
Yes,
We lost you.
report. Oh,
We lost you.
my internet
Now you're back.
connection- our internet connection here at the county is a little bit unstable. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and read from the verified local labor exemption request report for October 21. The first request is from USRE Rochester LLC. It's one exemption related to the installation and erection of the precast wall panels at the project site on Shepherd Road in Ogden. The exempted contractor is Fabcon Precast out of Savage, Minnesota. The exemption was based on the warranty issues related to the installation of specialized equipment, whereby the manufacturer requires installation by only approved installers criteria. And this has been processed. The second one is also USRE Rochester. Any questions on the first or comments?
Anna, this is Troy. So we talked about this. What was, when we decided to, on a warranty, obviously this is what we're doing here. Is this what they're asking for? Was the warranty issues? Now, when we talked about the apprenticeship, are we waiting to find out how we're gonna enact that? Or my understanding when we agreed to this was it was gonna be from that date forward. When does the warranty and apprenticeship language gonna come into play, and do we need to work on that language or how we're gonna do that? Or why is it not gonna be applied to this project?
I'm gonna let Rachel answer that question.
Sure. So the new policy, the changes to the labor policy will take effect as of January 1, 2022. And that'll include that warranty language and the apprenticeship requirement. What we did with Fabcon and on the previous project, they agreed to put an apprentice on because we asked them to do so. And we understand from Brian that they were going to use best efforts at this location as well to put an apprentice on.
Is that okay for now, Troy? We're happy to talk to you more about this in depth. So we're gonna deal with this one sort of in the same manner that we did at the last.
The Grease project, I think, when it first came up, yeah.
Right.
But then the apprenticeship requirement will come into play for every single warranty exemption come January 2022.
Okay, so is it okay to say that if this project and Fabcon's in town after January 1 on Shepherd Road, that if they don't have an apprentice on site, we have a little leverage to make sure that happens?
So the policy, we did not discuss the policy being retroactive to any project or and not to this project specifically. But like I said, I think that according to Brian, they were going to put this apprentice on this project anyway. So we'll check on that and make sure they do so.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Troy. Our second exemption request on this month's report is also from USRE Rochester LLC. This exemption is related to the provision of the iron workers and laborers from local 33. The local 33 Union Hall for the project site on Shepherd Road in Ogden. The exempted contractor is local 33 iron workers in Rochester, New York. They will be supplying iron workers from other locals around New York State. The exemption was based on the specialized construction, no local labor is available criteria. And that's all for the local labor exemption report this month.
Any other questions for Anna? Thank you, Anna.
I do have a question.
Yes,
The wording
go
there, now that I looked at that, the wording, the exempted contractor is local 33. Who is the contractor on Shepherd Road for the ironwork? Shouldn't that be listed? Because local 33 is not a contractor.
It's a union
Yeah,
hall,
it's
correct?
And there's-
I think that's what submitted the waiver.
That's
Hold on.
Local 33 submitted the
I gotta
waiver.
verify that, hold on.
Robin's
check
just
it.
grabbing some more
I'm
information.
pretty sure that's who submitted the request, but hold on.
This has to do with the ongoing issues, as you know, Troy, sourcing sufficient numbers of iron workers to keep up with the site schedule, the construction schedule.
Yeah. it just-
Apollo?
Apollo. Does that name ring a bell, Troy?
Yes.
We will send you some more information about that. Robin, do you have more to add?
Probably just a type. Well, I don't see how a local can. I think we're going down. I don't know, Rachel, you got to help me out there. I don't think a local should be listed as a contractor and or a union applying for a waiver.
The letter, came.
So the waiver letter came from Apollo.
No, it came
Oh, it
from,
came from, oh. So the letter did come on Ironworkers letterhead and it was addressed to Apollo Steel. So it was the local hall advising the contractor that they did not have local ironworkers to meet the contractor's request. So I think that our wording in Brian's report is just a little confusing in that regard.
Right. I just want, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Understood.
that's better.
Good catch, Troy.
Well,
We'll be
Okay.
sure to correct that for the record going forward.
Yeah, sounds good. Anything else on that topic? All right, moving on. Greg's going to review our financial report for the month of September. Greg, good morning. Good afternoon.
Morning. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Yeah, so 9 months into our fiscal year, heading into the last quarter. Like I said, I think it's a lot of the same stuff we've been talking about. Probably one of the strongest years we've had on record. I think the thought is combination of the pent up demand that we had from COVID, but also the significant projects we had. A lot of it has to do with, Amazon, but there's still a lot of activity going on. We'll talk a little bit more about that in the budget as we talk about fee revenue. But overall, like I said, a very strong first 9 months. As you can see, our cash balance, which is our most significant asset that we talk about, is up about $1.5 million from where it was 9 months ago. And that, generally makes sense because, as you'll see, in our revenue and expense section, our fee revenue over our expenses is almost $1.6 million. Everything else on the balance sheet, everything else is in line and budget. A lot of timing things there, except the payables and a couple of pilot payments. So overall, our balance sheet is as expected. The year-to-date fee revenue, like I said, 2.7. Again, one of the strongest years. We're almost double what we had budgeted, and more than 3x where we were last year. And while having our expenses really less than last year at this time, and even less than what we had budgeted. So a lot of things are going on behind the scenes, thanks to Anna and her staff that help do that. There's just a lot more activity than we've have encountered in years past. So a lot of people are putting a lot of effort into getting us where we need to get to. So again, very looking a little over close to 1.3 million of what I would say excess revenue over expenses. And it's hard to predict, as we'll talk about in the budget, where we'll end up, but we believe we'll end up fairly strong, in the $1 million range, depending on when some of these other projects close. But again, overall, very strong year so far, and expected to close strong as well.
Certainly a great performance by our team. We're very lucky to have all of them, because they all play such a critical role in how we manage our financial position. So being over on budgeted revenue and behind on expenses from the prior year, that's all good. That's all good. So we appreciate everyone's contribution to that. So any questions for Greg?
Hey, Greg, can you tell me what's driving the increase in the accrued liability and other short-term liability lines?
Jay, I'm just looking, let me just find that for you. I think that's the pilot, right? That's a timing thing where we get funds back in and we have to pay out. Is that the other short-term liabilities? That's Rachel, is that the pilot payment that we owe?
We don't.
So Greg, I don't know if it would show up on our balance sheet, but for the board's benefit, the Target and the Holiday Inn in Arundecoit, they pay their pilot payments to COMIDA as trustee, and then we disperse that money back out to the taxing jurisdictions immediately. We just take it in and disperse. So I think if that's what it would hit our balance sheet, that's what it is.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. That's the target portion for the East Arundecoit School District, is what's driving that. So we get the money in, we have to record it, but then then we'll have to pay that back out. So that's where it sits until we issue that check back out.
Okay, so we're basically serving as a pass-through entity for that.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions for Greg? I guess not. Thanks very much, Greg. We'll talk to you a little later in the meeting.
Thanks, Greg.
Budgets.
You got
Our favorite subject. Okay, thank you. All right, Anna, shall we move right into projects?
Certainly. Thank you, Anne. 587 LLC is our first project this month. 587 LLC, a real estate holding company, is proposing to redevelop a vacant building in the city of Rochester into an apartment complex. The new building will consist of 16 market rate apartments ranging in size from 453 square feet to 841 square feet. 2 of the 16 units will be affordable units for households earning equal or less than 60% of area median income. The $1.2 million project is seeking a real property tax abatement, mortgage recording tax, and sales tax exemption. And the cost to benefit ratio is 7-to-1.
Okay, thank you, Anna. I believe we have Nabil Greaves on the line at this point.
Yes.
Oh, welcome. Thank you for joining us. Did you hear Anna's summary, and would you like to elaborate a little bit on your project? I know you've been very hands-on and involved in your remodeling a vacant building, and it's a lot of tough hurdles there. Tell us about it.
So we've been working on this project for the past, I'll say 2.5 years, to get it to this stage. We went through all the peaks and valleys in terms of finding a proper architect to render these plans, and something that the city will approve of, and also something that we will be proud to work on and build. It's a family company. So this is my father right here. He's been in the game doing construction and development work for the past 30 years. We've been working hand in glove in terms of on this project. So we worked with Peter Morris, I don't know if you know of his architectural firm. He's done a lot of work in terms of city work as well as private work. And we've taken this building that we found from 12 to 16 units, increasing it. We feel that it will be a very vibrant, bring a vibrant aesthetic and feel, and also complement the downtown area in terms of the Kodak Towers right across the street. There's some new development that happened recently on both on State Street, on the same side as the building and across the street. And also we're seeing to also reinvest into Rochester, seeing that it's a very friendly and warm market to invest in.
Great. Who was in that building originally or previously? Do you know?
So the previous owner had 2 storefronts that were occupied, a bakery and a restaurant, and he had 2 apartments on 350 that were occupied as well.
I see. And of the low cost or affordable units that you're designating for this project, is that would that be 2 1-bedroom units, or how does that work?
So we decided to do the 2 studio apartments. The 2 largest studio apartments. We felt that was a very sizable apartment to give to affordable housing. And we were just seeing how best to accommodate affordable housing in the city as well, so everybody can feel comfortable with this project and the apartments that are allotted to this apartment complex.
So it looks like the studios are about 100 square feet smaller or so than the 1-bedrooms.
Yeah, they're fairly small units. They're not really big units. So it's the 1-bedrooms and the 2-bedrooms they're not too big, and the affordable. The studio apartments are same small units, so it's not a far drop off exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're fairly close actually. Okay, do we have questions from the board on this project?
I have a
Go ahead, Troy.
Brett?
No,
Brett? Oh, sorry.
And this is Troy. I see that on here you've listed the 2 studios, the 456 and the 453, but we didn't put, like we did with the other ones, a monthly rent. Approximately, do you know what the rent's going to be on those 2 studios?
I think it's going to be from what the city rental income limits they gave us. I think it's going to be like $1,100, between $1,100 to $1,000 a month. Yeah.
Thank you.
Brett, were you going to say something? You're on mute. You're on mute. Brett?
Well, while he's getting, I'd like to ask a question. Is this your first? Is this your first project in Rochester, New York?
Yes, this is our first project in New York, and this won't be our last project in Rochester.
Well, that's what I wanted to hear. Great. I'm glad you're continue.
Thank you.
Okay.
When do you anticipate these will be ready for occupancy?
We're looking probably sometime in the fall of next year. Okay. So it could be October, around that time, October, November.
Okay. Brett, did you have a question? Wow, we still can't hear you. Okay, any other questions? All right. Brett, are you going to try to call in? You can hear us all right? We can't hear you apparently.
Or Rhett could type his question in the chat.
Yep, he sure could. Okay, so without any other questions, we did have a public hearing on this item on October 8th. Rachel, were there any public comments?
No, there were not.
Thank you. And Nabil, are you aware of our local labor policy?
Yes.
And do you anticipate any local labor exemptions at this time?
No.
And are you aware that any exemptions need to be requested 45 days in advance?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. The seeker process is complete and we'll now move forward with the reading of the resolution. Anna?
A regular meeting of the County of Monroe.
I motion to waive the reading of the resolution and the other resolution to come.
Yeah, I second, Anna.
Okay, been moved by Troy and seconded by Joe, since we've all read the resolution, to waive the reading of the resolution. Any questions on that? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, now I'll ask for a motion for inducement and final resolution approving a real property tax abatement, mortgage recording tax exemption, and sales tax exemption. May I have a
I'll make a
motion?
motion.
Thank you, Lisa.
I'll second it.
And seconded by Tony. Any additional comments, questions? All right, I'll take a roll call vote. I'm sorry? Is someone trying to say something? No? Okay. Jay,
Yes.
Tony,
Yeah,
Rhett, raise your hand. Okay. Troy,
Yay.
Joe,
Yes.
and Lisa,
Yay.
and Anne is a yay. So that's unanimous and the motion carries. And best of luck to you on this project. I'm certain that it will be a terrific enhancement to that area just across from Kodak. And thanks to your father too for all of his good work over the years.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Good luck with your project.
Okay,
Thank
thanks
you.
a lot.
Thanks.
Bye.
Yeah, good luck, guys. Good luck.
Thank you.
Peter Landers is, yeah.
Okay, Anna, shall we move
you can
on
give
to
us
the
one
next
second.
project? It's
There's
A50
one
EB
moment.
LLC, Constellation Brands.
Wait. Who else? 987 is Woods.
We're just admitting a couple of other folks from the waiting room.
This one.
Okay, thank you.
The 967, I don't know, that's somebody's cell phone.
Just let them
I think we let him in. I don't know who Robert Feld is. I know, hold on one second.
Lawyer?
Yeah, Stanton.
Yeah, Matt Stanton is with
Somebody's got to mute there.
Joined, if you got the live stream playing, if you could just turn that off. Thank you.
And if we could ask who that last phone number is, I didn't know. 2800? No, I know that one.
The phone number ending in
7780.
That's Woods.
No.
3600.
Yes.
Who is that phone number?
That's Jim Costanza, is
Oh, hi, Jim.
3600, 232.
It's
Hi,
ending in-
good afternoon.
Hi, ending in 7780. No, the 2800 is Woods.
the phone number 967-78-7780. Oh, that's
Right, sorry, I was on mute. That's
Oh.
me, Dave Crow.
Oh, okay.
oh, hi. Oh, thank you. Okay, okay.
Who is that?
Sorry about that.
So Dave Pro is on video and his number is showing up.
Oh,
I think.
Yeah,
Yes,
I don't
that's
have
it.
audio.
Okay. It
All
seems
right.
like the gang is all here. Shall we go ahead and start, Anna?
Certainly, thank you. A50EB LLC, a real estate holding company, is proposing to redevelop the vacant aqueduct buildings in the city of Rochester for its tenant Constellation Brands Incorporated. Constellation Brands is relocating its corporate headquarters to downtown Rochester. Previously, Constellation Brands was considering relocating its headquarters to Chicago, Illinois. The applicant originally received approval in September of 2020 for a mixed-use redevelopment project for the aqueduct site. In March 2021, the applicant was approved for an increase in project costs. After discussions with Constellation Brands, the applicant has changed course and is focused on being landlord to this Fortune 500 company. The city of Rochester, as well as other economic development partners, are supportive of the project. The $82 million project is seeking a custom real property tax abatement, mortgage recording tax, and sales tax exemption. The tenant is requesting a sales tax exemption on furniture, fixtures, and equipment. The cost to benefit ratio is 9-1.
Okay, thank you, Anna. So we have Peter Landers and Jim Costanza, among others, with us today. Would you like to elaborate further on that in terms of
Sure.
impact on the community? Why this area? Tell us more.
Yes, good afternoon, Chairman Burr and Board. Yes, this is Peter Landers.
Can you tell us a little bit more about it, Pete?
We can't hear you.
Yes,
We lost you, Peter.
yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, now we can.
Okay, good afternoon, Chairman and Board. And on behalf of the development team, A50EB and Constellation Brands, yeah, I'm having a little trouble with the audio. I'm having trouble with the audio. There's a repeat. Is it because I'm on the, can you hear me?
We
Yes.
can hear you fine.
Yeah, but I'm repeating. Is it because I'm on the live, on the live stream?
Yes. If you have the YouTube stream on your computer, Peter, I'd advise you to shut that off, X out of it, or mute that.
How do I do that? I'm sorry.
Close YouTube.
Yeah,
Just
but
close the YouTube browser. If you have YouTube open on your browser, just close that out. Alternatively, if you wanted to leave the Zoom, I'd be happy to pull up your phone number here on our conference call line so that you're audible to the participants on the call.
I can't seem to find it. That's the problem. Sorry.
Anna has offered to call you directly.
Why don't you do that if you don't mind?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we're going to go ahead and take you off of this meeting, and I'm going to dial up Peter Landers. One moment, everybody. Sorry for that inconvenience.
This must be him. I think that's him.
His cell phone. Yep, that's his number. Was I supposed to dial 9?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
Sorry about that.
afternoon.
Hi, Peter. Can you hear us all right?
Yes, I can. My
Great.
apologies.
No problem. Can everybody
Hey.
on the Zoom hear us okay in here? We got Peter on the line. Great. All right, take it away, Peter Landers.
Okay, on behalf of Constellation and A50 EV LLC, as you indicated, excited about Constellation Brands relocating to the Aqueduct building.
Somebody's having issues. We can hear that echo, Peter. If you're having issues still, maybe you can just walk into a different room or something. If you're not able to turn off your audio on your computer.
Yeah, let me. Okay, okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, sir, we can.
Okay, my apologies. So we're here before the board today to request approval for a sales tax exemption, a mortgage tax exemption, and the 15-year pilot agreement with our incentives that are required to make the relocation of Constellation to the Aqueduct building economically viable. So we ask your consideration for a request today. Constellation Brands, as you know, is a Fortune 500 company with nearly $9 billion in sales, and they looked at many alternatives, and we're fortunate that they have selected the Aqueduct building as their future headquarters location. So we're excited about that. Their relocation to Rochester envisions 350 jobs, which include executive leadership, human resources, finance, legal, communications, marketing, sales, and IT. This company has experienced 3% job growth yearly and expects to add up to 100 jobs over the next 5 years. This continued job growth, in addition to the potential job growth of an affiliate of Constellation, makes this a compelling opportunity for the city, the county, and the state moving forward. The landlord and Constellation will invest a total of $83 million renovating the currently vacant Aqueduct buildings, which will include new permanent signage, windows, sustainable energy systems, and state-of-the-art access to broadband. The transformative project will be synergistic with the Rock the Riverway plan to create a vibrant riverfront that will connect the downtown community and attract visitors to Rochester. And really important is that Constellation's new prominent signage at the top of the Aqueduct building will demonstrate its commitment to the city and will be a beacon for attracting other Fortune 500 companies to invest in the revitalization of downtown Rochester. We see this investment in the Aqueduct building as a catalyst for the redevelopment of the west side of the river. And I think we're very excited about it. The project will commence in October of this year. So we're actually doing demo work now. And Constellation will take occupancy by December 1st of 2023. So if you have any questions, I'd like to entertain them now.
Do we have others that you'd like to have present? Is Jim Costanza going to make remarks, or any others? I know we have a number of others that have been a part of the project. Any one of you want to make any additional remarks?
This is Jim Costanza. I would just add that the city has been experiencing significant renovation and residential renewal downtown, and this announcement will provide a lot of follow-on investment from business and even retail. So this is a continuation of the renewal that Rochester has been experiencing over the last 15 to 20 years. But I think it's representative of a new phase of Rochester's renewal. And I think an investment like this and the willingness for a company like Constellation Brands to locate in Rochester will produce a significant follow-on kind of atmosphere for people considering and businesses considering downtown. So I think it's a very important aspect for the continuation of Rochester's renewal.
Thank you. It is an enormous project, and it is certainly key to the revitalization of downtown, and it's certainly a big commitment that you're making. And we're glad that you didn't choose Chicago. Thank you very much. But what was it about the particular buildings that you made the decision on that site, and knowing it's part of the Riverway and you got to tear up the bridge, and what was the attraction? Jim or Peter?
Yes, I think what makes it really attractive is the historic nature of these buildings, and also, the river frontage. I think what's really going to be exciting is that Constellation is going to take full advantage of some of the brick features on the walls, the barrel ceilings. In fact, we opened up the building and you can see these original barrel ceilings, and we're going to be sandblasting them to restore them to the original brick. And so it's going to allow Constellation to create a very innovative, creative work environment for its employees. And I think it's also important to note that I think there's going to be a lot of spin-off from this investment. When I say spin-off, I mean jobs for smaller businesses, micro businesses, small business owners that will provide services to some of these employees. We're going to have a small eatery as part of the project that will be right next to the Aqueduct Park. There'll be events in the Aqueduct Park. There'll be and these will be both Constellation events, and they'll be reaching out to the community because Constellation is very much community minded as a company, as we know. So it's going to be an exciting project for Rochester. And as Jim indicated, it should be a catalyst for further investment.
Thank you. Any other remarks by our spokespersons that are on the line on this project? How about questions from the board?
I don't have a question, but I'd just like to say,
Right.
I don't have a question, but I'd just like to say this is an awesome project. We have past projects that are around that area that are going green lead, and being that this aqueduct is right next to the river, I see that it's not, but there is some more options with NYSERDA out there for some more funding if you do decide to utilize some of that river and the energy off that river to keep that building and that project green lead. That would be more than exciting, especially when we're talking about bringing in more tenants. So this is awesome, great project. We need more of these downtown for sure.
We have received support letters from GRE, from ROC 2025, RDDC, the City of Rochester, the Chamber, Empire State Development. So certainly a lot of public and community support for the project. Are there any other questions from the board?
Peter, Jim, is
Jay?
Constellation going to be the sole tenant? Are they basically going to take up 100% of the building, or do you anticipate as this finishes up that there'll be other space you'll be looking for additional tenants?
This is Peter Landers. Constellation will be taking the full campus, all the buildings. They may not utilize one building initially, but the plan right now is they're going to be taking the full campus, which is exciting.
Okay, are there questions from the board? It is exciting for the county for sure, and the city. So, any other question? Okay, I guess not. All right, we will move forward then. There was a public hearing held on this project on October 18. Rachel, were there any comments during that meeting?
Yes, Gerald D. from Local 276 commented that they're very excited about the project and wanting to make connections with the project principals to ensure work for the members of Local 276, and that is the Carpenters Hall.
Okay, thank you. All right, I'll ask a few questions. Not sure if it's Peter or Jim responding. Are you aware of our local labor policy?
Yes.
Okay, do you anticipate any local labor exemptions at this time?
No.
Okay, are you aware that any exemptions need to be required or requested 45 days in advance?
Yes.
Thank you very much. The seeker process is complete. We have waived the reading of the resolution. We've all read the resolutions in our packets. So I'll now ask for a motion for inducement and final resolution approving a custom real property tax abatement, mortgage recording tax, and sales tax exemptions. Is there a motion, please?
So moved.
Who was that? Troy? I'm sorry.
I was Rhett with the motion.
Oh, thank you, Rhett. Is there a second?
Royal second.
Thank you, Troy. So it's been moved and seconded. Any additional comments or questions? I'll take a roll call vote. Jay?
Yes.
Tony?
Yes.
Rhett?
Yay.
Troy?
Yay.
Joe?
Yes.
Lisa?
Yes.
And Anne is a yay, so that's unanimous, and congratulations to the team. What a wonderful project for us to have here. What an impact this is going to make on our economy and for our citizenry and all of the follow-on businesses that was mentioned. Good luck to you on that.
Thank you, Chairman.
Thanks very much.
And the board. We appreciate it.
Thanks for
Yes, thank you
choosing
very
Monroe
much.
County.
Thanks, Peter. We'll hang up on you on this conference line.
Okay, thank you.
All right, take care.
Yep.
Okay, are we?
Okay.
are we
Everyone
ready?
from Constellation is welcome to drop off now. We're all set.
Mhm.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. There's one other phone participant.
That's right.
No, that's Rhett's phone.
Oh, okay, got it. All right. Okay, so we'll move forward into project modifications, Tower 195 LLC for an extension. Anna?
Thank you. Tower 195 LLC, a Galena Development real estate entity, began redevelopment of the former Chase Tower in 2015, now known as the Metropolitan, located in the city of Rochester. Since that time, there have been several increases to sales tax and mortgage recording tax exemptions, as well as an extension of the sales tax exemption. The project was originally approved for a mortgage recording tax and sales tax exemption in October of 2015. The applicant is now seeking an extension of the sales tax exemption through December 31st, 2022, because of construction delays due to COVID-19. The project should be complete by the end of 2022.
Okay, thank you. Any questions on that? All right, we're waiving the reading of the resolution. I'll ask for a motion to approve an extension of the sales tax exemption through December 31, 2022. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Jay.
I'll second, Ann.
Thank you, Joe. There's a second. Any other comments, questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next project modification is a pilot modification, 1733 Ridge Road LLC. Anna?
1733 Ridge Road LLC has requested that a portion of the land known as Lot 103, located at 285 Medley Center Parkway, encumbered by the original lease agreements and original pilot agreement, be released to accommodate financing by Five Star Bank, the lender. This request is a result of a requirement from the lender that Lot 103 have lease agreements and a pilot agreement separate from the original lease agreement and the original pilot agreement.
Okay. Any questions on that?
Anna, quick question. What are they doing on lot 103?
This is the community center, the town of Arundequoit Community Center, going into the old Arundequoit Mall / Medley Center.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Okay, we'll waive the reading of the resolution and I'll ask for a motion to approve the execution and delivery of one, the amendatory documents necessary for the release of Lot 103 from the existing agency documents, and two, a lease agreement, leaseback agreement, and pilot agreement with respect to Lot 103. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by
I'll
Jay.
second it.
Seconded by Lisa. Thank you. Any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Thank you. Mr. Popley, the Governance Committee report.
Thank you, Chairwoman Burr. The Governance Committee met 2 weeks ago, and we continued our conversations on the housing policy and inclusion of affordable component in the housing policy. I would say we've made some pretty good progress. I think we're gelling around a consensus of 10% of units being required for housing projects. We have a little bit more work to do to dot the i's and cross the t's on that, but I would anticipate in the next month or two that we will complete our work and have something to present to the board.
Okay, thank you, Jay. Any questions for Jay? No. All right, thanks for that update. Tony, the Finance Committee report.
The Finance Committee report met on October 14th. And Greg Genovese went over everything, and as he did briefly today. So I would like to recommend to the board that we make a motion to the full board to adopt the 2022 proposed budget as presented.
Okay, do we want to have an update from Anna and Greg on this before we go ahead and approve the budget? There's more details that I guess I'll ask for a second. So the motion is still on the table. Thank you, Lisa. But I know additional materials have been sent to the board, and Greg was very helpful in giving us a little more detail on the budget assumptions, the variances. And so if you and Anna would like to walk through that, that would be terrific.
I'll kick things off just by noting a couple of top line items that I wanted to bring to your attention. we are proposing addition of a $15,000 line to build an internship expense into our annual budget such that we can be free to bring on an intern to support our operation in the coming year. We added one full-time person in 2021. And I also wanted to note that one-time sponsorships are not expected to reoccur in 2022. So you'll notice that up under the sponsorships line. And then we kept many other expenses steady, anticipating that several programs, including our support for Greater Rochester Enterprise, our support for the workforce program at MCC, and some other items will not change. And with that, I'd love for Greg to take the helm and walk us through some of the particulars and also answer any questions.
Yep. Thanks, Anna. Yeah, so let's just, if everyone has what I had sent, what actually Robin had forwarded the other day in front of them, I just want to walk through briefly what that is. You know, so the first column there represents where we think we're going to land as of the end of December, right? The second column.
Thanks for adding that, Greg.
Yeah, no problem. That was Chair Burr's recommendation. So fully agree with trying to understand where we think we're going to be, and then what 2022 looks like, so we can really see what those variances are. And again, from an expense standpoint, like you probably all do in all your businesses and things like that, that's the easier part. The revenue is the hardest part to really kind of pinpoint here. So I'm going to talk about this at a high level. You can see a lot of the notes there in individual buckets. If you look on your second page, I kind of want to just go over the high level items about, okay, what are the effects of where we think we're going to land as of the end of December 2021, where we think budget 22 is going to end up, and then what those big variances are in those bucket items. So again, big one, revenue, right? Like we are having like an unprecedented year for a lot of different reasons. The biggest, I would say, is the Amazon project. It's going to represent over $1 million of fee income in 2021 alone. Do we anticipate something like that repeating? Maybe, you know, I mean, maybe this the project for the one we just heard about, it could certainly help. However, you know, those are sometimes once in a lifetime projects. That's why you'll see we're backing off our revenue, our budgeted revenue numbers from where we think we're going to end up, almost $3 million in 21 to more of a 2.25 million number for 22. Again, two big factors there. Taking out the Amazon project, and then, but taking into account some of our encouraging backlog that we have. And that's where we kind of landed on the 2.25 million.
That's a key point there, because we've approved 3.2 million year to date. We've closed on $1 million. So there's a backlog that will follow us into 2022.
Yeah. It's about 3.2 million. We anticipate, again, hard to predict, right? When people close, we from the 21 projects, we think we'll have about $1 million backlog, if you will, of things that have approved that may not close and we may not collect until 22. Okay. And so if half of that is backlog, right? $1 million is backlog, and then we expect maybe another $1 million of new projects. That'll get us kind of to the 2.25 million. Okay. And again, so you can see all the things, if you kind of focus on the second page. As I said, I don't want to go through all the details. You can see the notes there, but if you go to the second page and you said, okay, we're going to end up with a surplus this year of 917,000. Next year, we think it's going to be quite a bit lower. And where does that come from? So next year, we're thinking of $151,000 surplus, and that's a $765,000 difference. Well, where are those differences? Well, we anticipate a fee reduction, right? trying to be conservative here, about $710,000. We, as Anna said, we have a $40,000 or so of a new person that we're adding, right? That's a use of cash, right? However, sponsorships that we've spent, we think we're going to be to the plus side of that. We're going to pick up $34,000 or so of sponsorship that we're not going to spend in 22. Our program community development, the reason why that's a plus is because our current Ladders Up program, which is going to represent almost $750,000 this year, that's going to be, we have the Empower program, but that's about $250,000 less. So that's kind of a trade-off there. In addition to that, we do anticipate, we always want to have in our budget some wiggle room, right? Some that if there are programs and projects that we want to support, that we maintain that that approach and that. So we've kept a $300,000 what I would say opportunity for us to continue to support those projects in the future. We talked about PTAC. Again, now that we're going to support that from the COMIDA side, that represents about a little less than $92,000. And our overall G&A is pretty flat. It's probably less than flat if you take together cost of inflation. Again, credit to the team on managing all of that. But again, overall, those are our big bucket items, right? The pluses and minuses. So you can kind of see where we think we're going to be and then where we think where we're going. And be happy to answer any questions. I know it's not, again, we look at it and we say, well, geez, that doesn't look so great compared to where we are this year, right? We're trying to be realistic as possible and taking into account that significant Amazon project, but also taking into account that there's some things that we want to support. We have a very strong balance sheet, and certainly want to put those funds out into the community to support the organization's mission and intent of what we're trying to do. So I think this budget certainly represents that.
When would we get the fee income from Constellation?
Rachel, you want to address that one a little bit? We talked about that the other day.
Sure. So the projected fee income is, hold on, I'm pulling it up. So it'll be two fees, one from the landlord. It's anticipated to be roughly $528,000. And for the tenant, it is anticipated to be roughly $61,000. Yesterday, Peter thought that the closing would be on track for the end of the year. So it is possible that the $528,000 from the landlord will be received by year end. But that's a very aggressive timeline for a project of this size and scope.
Right.
And I would tell you that in our budget, we didn't really include that. Like, that's late breaking news. We didn't include that in our 21 numbers. We kind of talked about that would be really part of 22.
Yeah.
So just so everyone's aware of that. Yeah.
Okay. Good. Other questions for Greg or Anna on the budget?
Anna, while this isn't probably a huge dollar amount, are we going to carry some additional costs for monitoring of the housing projects, which will, assuming that we have a new policy, or we're just going to deal with that as it comes?
We did not build that into this spending plan. However, we anticipate that we will cross the bridge when we get to it. It could be that it could fall within an administrative line. I don't know, Rachel, do you have any thoughts?
I think at this point, we expect that staff will handle that, the compliance on housing projects.
Fair enough. Thank you.
Yep.
Anna and Rachel.
And if that changes, we'll work with you, of course.
Client's fee increase.
Brad, can you speak a little louder?
Yes. Would that be included in where the line item for compliance fees? The increase?
No, Rhett. It would be under just staff.
As our job.
as part of our job, as part of our day-to-day responsibilities. And again, if anything changes and it becomes cumbersome, time consuming such that we need to bring on additional resources, we'll bring that to the board's attention. We'll go through the committee cycle, et cetera, if that means that we have to spend more money in any significant capacity. Does that answer your question, Jay? Good. Okay, good.
Anyone else? Okay, there is a motion on the floor. I don't recall who made the motion, but I think Lisa seconded it. Who was it, Jay?
Oh, I think it was Tony.
Tony, okay, good, all right. Any additional comments, questions? This is to approve or our motion to adopt the 2022 budget as presented. Any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Thanks, Greg, for that good work on that, so. All right, we will move into the executive director list for discussion items. She has a number of them. Anna?
Thank you, Anne, and thank you all. I'll start out with the Empower contract extension. In our dialogue just now about the budget, we were referring to the program as Ladders Up. It's since been rebranded, and we're entering into a new contract with Monroe Community College to extend this program for an additional 3 years under the name Empower. So we are asking Monroe Community College, is requesting to extend the original Empower contract, previously known as Ladders Up, between COMIDA and MCC that expired September 30th, 2021. Due to timing with the school semester and the academic year, MCC is asking to extend that contract through December 31st of 2021 so that all the funds can be spent appropriately. There was some slowdown in their expenditure of the dollars because of COVID. So we will, in the new year, start a new contract essentially with MCC. And so that's the Empower contract. Are there any questions about that item related to that?
Given the considerable amount of the expense is from our budget, is there a way that we can hear from them more directly or with more regular updates?
Certainly, yes. They're very interested in doing that. Yes. Mm-hmm. In the past, we did have Todd Oldham, the Vice President for Workforce Development. Periodically presents at COMIDA meetings. He has since left for a new position in the Commonwealth of Virginia, and his interim replacement is a woman by the name of Kristen Seinkins. And I would love to bring her on to the next COMIDA board meeting, perhaps the November meeting, to give us an update on the previous academic year, how the program is going, and looking ahead to the future.
That'd be great. That'd be very helpful.
And then we can invite her back with some degree of regularity.
Maybe quarterly or something, that
Sure.
makes sense. So, okay. Other questions for Anna? Okay, so I'll ask for a motion to extend the existing contract with Monroe Community College for the Empower program for 3 months through 12/31/21.
I'll motion in.
Thank you, Joe. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Jay raised his hand before Tony, sorry. All right. Any other comments or questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item, Anna.
Thank you. The next item is the Loki Brill contract extension. We are asking the board to extend the contract between COMIDA and Loki Brill for local labor monitoring services for 2 months, ending December 31st, 2021. This will allow staff to have all contracts on the same calendar year cycle.
Okay, any questions for Anna on that?
I-
Last from, oh, go ahead.
And this is Troy.
Hi, Troy.
Without stating a project, I want to just inform the board, kudos to Loki Brill, finally. I don't like use the word catching, but monitoring a site where they were not in compliance. I was aware for 8 months, I've been calling Kevin, knowing that there's been a situation, and Kevin shows up and Troy, there's not, everything's good. Well, finally last week, they were discovered, and this was something I've been begging for. So I guess, to Jay's point on monitoring and if we need to increase and everything, I think we need to address better. It might even be that we've seen these people go from one job to another job and they're COMIDA associated. And this is a perfect example of what this group has been a gypsy group in town. And I just want to ask that maybe we reevaluate and the amount of monitoring and how we monitor, and if we can keep track of names and IDs, and if they're leaving from one job and then found at another job. We need to do better, I think. 8 months of work to have reports that there was a situation and finally get it addressed. So just to share to the rest of the board, there is some tightening up. We can tighten it up a little bit better. And it's something that we should probably be looking at, but kudos to Kevin staying diligent and reporting to us. Now we just gotta know we have a problem. Let's come up with a solution, I guess, is all I could ask.
Thank you for that, Troy. Any questions or other comments?
Just a comment, if, to build on what Troy said, if we're looking to do that, which I would be supportive of if increased monitoring needs to be done, Troy, I would suggest that, when we put the RFP out, we make those adjustments then so that it gets built into the contract and there's full transparency on it.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? All right, so I'll ask for a motion to extend the existing contract with Loki Brill for local labor monitoring for 2 months through December 31, 2021.
Troy moved.
Troy moved, Jay seconded. Any other comments? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, Anna. Marl 5G program amendment. So I'll ask for a motion.
Thank you, Ann. Thank you, Ann. And we have joining us on the call Amir Khan and Prakash Goswami from the Marl 5G program. We are requesting approval from the board for an amendment to the contract with Marl 5G. You will recall that a few months back at a COMIDA meeting, we approved a contract with Marl 5G at $150,000 to partner with the organization on a startup accelerator program. And upon performing due diligence and market analysis here in Greater Rochester and Monroe County, the program coordinators, Amir and Prakash, observed that they wanted to adjust the program model a little bit to better meet the needs of the current market. And with that, I would like to invite Prakash and Amir to speak and welcome them both. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much, Anna. You all can hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So I was here in I was there in Rochester about a couple of months ago, and I had a great couple months ago. Timing in COVID time is kind of hard to keep track of. I was there last month, and I had a great time meeting with the county execs and the local community. I also took a trip to Buffalo to analyze the area. After the analysis, I think we found that our system will be better suited for young college students who are graduating soon or in the senior year or junior year, working on softwares to help solving business pain point. So to curate the program, we wanted to, instead of investing in about 16 companies per year, we wanted to actually go down below and do go up 32 companies per year. And I would not say even companies. We want to invest directly into founders. What we have seen, there's a lot of talent there in Greater Rochester area, about 19 universities nearby. To support the talent and keep the talent there needs to be investment at the grassroots level, which we plan to do, and really mentor these students with the initial capital provided and mentorship to guide them to create the companies which will be staying there long term. Prakash, would you like to add something?
Yeah, I think you kind of highlighted the points clearly, and our goal is to kind of help these Generation G population, the students, young entrepreneurs, and with a killer idea how we can help them to make that as a product and business. And through our experience and mentorship, we can definitely help them on that. But not only once the MVP and customer validation is done, we can also connect them to the Silicon Valley investor ecosystem as well as local investor ecosystem who can take that forward. So I think it will be a great, we are very excited about the opportunity and the amount of impact it can create. So our target goal is to the folks who are working on an idea in the lab and how we can take that out of the lab and commercialize it. And that's the space where there is a tremendous amount of gap today, because the VC company or VC entities, they are not focusing on that. They are already, whichever cake has been baked, they take that, put a different case and take it forward. We are creating this recipe for success for the early stage entrepreneurs. And I think the model will work, and we have kind of paced it out. So in terms of the commitment, the fund wise, there is in fact more commitment from the investment fund, because we will be investing 32 companies over a period of 12 months. And initially, we thought that 16 companies, 8 companies on each cohort, but because of the model, we want to kind of spread it over the months and learn from working with the working experience with these early stage founders and adjust and tweak our model, whatever it needs to be done to make them successful. I think that's the goal of this venture studio.
And if I may, the goal here is to have success in all three parties.
Yeah.
Our limited partners, founders in this ecosystem, and the Monroe County's initiative. I think that's the real goal here we have.
Okay, questions from the board? Thank you for that sort of update. Questions from the board?
And this is not so much of a question as a comment and maybe a suggestion. Amir, Prakash, I certainly support what you're doing here, and I think the need is really at the seed capital stage to get some of these ideas off the ground. So I'm certainly supportive of getting down into the universities and reducing the amount to 25,000. But I would say, just given where we are in the ecosystem, rather than say, hey, it's going to be 32 companies at 25,000, or it's going to be 16 companies at 50,000, I don't think you're really going to know that until you really delve in and see what it is. So you may have some companies that are going to need the 50,000, others that are going to need 25 or smaller. So if it's okay with you, I'd rather support giving you guys the freedom to say it'll be between 16 and 32 companies, ranging from 25 to 50,000, for a total of this dollar amount, because we're just not going to know. So rather than be locked in, if the rest of the board is amenable and you guys are amenable, I would say let's keep it flexible because,
Yeah, we are open.
Greg, where does this show up on our financial statement? Can't hear you.
Sorry, I'm on mute. I believe it's in our other program, community development. It is where it's going to fall.
Yeah.
Is that correct, Anna?
Yes.
Okay, so in the community development bucket. All right.
And if my understanding is correct, we're supporting these folks with an individual at 150,000. I think I'm looking more at your report back to us when you come in and say, I would hate to say, hey, you only invested in 24 companies, but there were more dollars spent because the companies needed it. So that's all I'm looking at is when you report back to us. So
Jay, absolutely. And the companies, if the company is mature enough, that which doesn't need that, like initially doesn't need the 20, it doesn't match our 25K portfolio. We always have room for them in our Marl Accelerator in Silicon Valley, which is 50K investment.
Yeah.
So we're not saying no to them. Our goal is to still support the companies in Altamont.
Right, which is really what I'm looking at as the key. And so,
Yeah, they can still stay in Rochester because our accelerator went virtual after the COVID. So they do not need to relocate to Silicon Valley in order to participate on the Marl Accelerator and 50K package.
Absolutely, and we're hoping the goal is not to have them relocate to Silicon Valley.
Right.
The goal is
we are very much aware of that. Yep.
Yeah.
So what's our maximum that we're on the hook for?
$150,000 for a year.
Okay, thank you on that. All right.
So as we're going through the modification, is it possible to make that modification, Anna? As we're voting?
Yeah. Yes. I'll let Rachel address the legalese.
What we're doing today is we're having Amir and Prakash present the change. We do have a contract that's been signed, so we'll do a one-page amendment to encapsulate this change. And then the reporting and everything will be as we originally envisioned. They'll be back to report. I think we have them coming back at the 6-month mark to make a report, but that's off the top of my head. So, but we wanted to bring this change to the board for approval.
Yeah. So, I'll throw that out there if my fellow board members are amenable to that.
So the motion that we were going to ask for is to amend the current contract with Marl Accelerator LLC, adjusting the program scope to work with young entrepreneurs and students from Monroe County colleges and universities. We were not adjusting the amount of the agreement, which was previously approved. Correct, Rachel?
Right, just the purpose. The original program we contemplated back in, I think it was July, was money going to businesses, and here we're talking about young entrepreneurs, recent college grads. Right.
Okay. So I would put that motion out for approval. Is there someone who'd like to move that?
I'll move it.
Thank you, Jay. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. I think Rhett got there first, Tony. Any other comments or questions? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you very much. And thank you, Amir and Prakash, for joining us today.
Thank you.
Good luck with the project.
Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, I think it's our last item is coming up, but it's probably one of the most important of the year. And Anna, I'll let you introduce it, but we're going to have an update on our Monroe County Comprehensive Plan that we paid for, and it's done. And now we just have to.
I want to thank you, Ann. I want to thank Pat Gooch, our senior planner, for joining us here today and being so patient. This is a very important item. The county executive and all of us in the Department of Planning and Development are very grateful to the COMIDA board for approving last year $200,000 to allow the county to update its comprehensive plan for the first time in over 40 years. We have officially kicked off our community engagement of the comprehensive plan this past Saturday at the Seneca Park Zoo. The plan is being referred to as Plan Forward, and the timing just so happens that we're rolling it out at the same time that the county is receiving $144 million from the federal government through the American Rescue Plan. So in tandem with the comprehensive plan effort, we're also rolling out planning and community engagement to determine how to spend those federal funds. And with that, I'd like to welcome Pat to the meeting and invite him to present an update on the plan to the COMIDA board.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your time, everyone. Good afternoon. So as you said, this is a very important a very important process. So this is something that hasn't happened in a while, and so we're very excited to do it, but we also take the responsibility very seriously because we know it's something that probably won't happen for a long time again. So hopefully you can see my slides. As Anna said, we are calling this Plan Forward, and that is done on purpose because we believe that this is a vision for the future. It also ties into several initiatives that are happening at the regional, state, and local level, including Fast Forward Monroe and the Finger Lakes Forward. And that's intentional because we believe that we want this to tie in with all those efforts, not replace them. So why a county plan? Whoops, give me 1 second. There we go. A county plan for a lot of reasons. And that is, first, New York State law authorizes all municipalities to do so, including counties. Counties do them on a little longer basis than other municipalities. And that's because the way counties work and the services we provide do change. They don't change as rapidly as they may in a municipality. But what do we want to do with a county plan? We want to promote livable, vibrant places. We want to address issues that are regional or at the scale of a county. We want to develop strategies to protect things that cross those municipal boundaries, that enhance and encourage community growth, both within municipalities and across municipalities. And we also recognize that as a county, we have the ability to connect and be a collaborative kind of think tank for the municipalities when issues arise, because they often arise in multiple communities at once. So how long is a plan designed to work? Ideally, next 10 to 15 years is really the thinking we're moving with. And that is because beyond that, we're just guessing. So we are working on that time frame. We know that it may be longer than that, but that is really the hope for this process.
And Pat will get copies of this, right? Or Anna?
Yes.
Yeah.
And Anna, I believe Anna sent it out before this, but we did update it so we can send another version.
Okay, thank you.
And so, of course, we'll be encouraging and facilitating public and private partnerships because we realize much of what the county does is not just done at the county level, but we work with a lot of partners to make things happen. So what are the consequences of a county plan? All county land acquisitions and public improvements must be in conformance with the plan. So as you're aware, the county has a capital improvement process. It has a budget. It spends money on facilities, services. Those things need to be in coordination with the comp plan. All state and governmental agencies and local municipalities need to consider our comprehensive plan when they're undertaking actions. Doesn't mean that we overrule them, but it means that if they're doing something that affects county property, county roads, they should take a look at what's going on and address it with us. Ideally, we'll also identify partnerships or frameworks for funding and systems improvements. We recognize the county has many systems that can benefit from a look into how they're operating. Also, it will look at policy. It'll look at funding priorities and at both the individual and collective scale. So thanks to COMIDA, Monroe County has been fortunate to hire a team of planners. We're working with EDR, which is a Syracuse and Rochester-based planning firm, CNS Companies, which is a Rochester-based firm, Fairweather Consulting, who is the economic development consultant for this process, Alice Mann Consulting, which is doing housing and neighborhood work, and then Food Concepts, which is a local company helping us with website branding and social media, because one of the most important aspects of this plan is reaching out to the public. So what will we be doing? We will be working with the public, both the general public and stakeholders like yourselves, to identify a vision and guiding principles. We'll be developing themes or topics that we need to focus on. Of course, a county has far too many topics to focus on, so we will have to narrow that to the ones that we believe are the most important to address at this time. We will then develop goals and policies that help us work through those topics and get to the vision that we would like for Monroe County. We will have specific action items that are short-term ways to solve some of these issues or to address some of these issues. And we will have an implementation strategy that will help us figure out how we move forward in the next 10 to 15 years, which ideally that will be a blueprint not only for this department, but for the county as a whole. As I mentioned, the vision for Monroe County is extremely important. We would like to have a unified vision of where we're going. We want it to be based on a community-driven process, input from everyone we can reach out to in Monroe County. We will then develop that roadmap of how we move forward, which ideally will help Monroe County now and all future county executives as we move forward. And then we will strategically analyze projects for funding that we believe can carry out the vision of Monroe County. And when I say Monroe County, I don't mean the county government. I truly mean the citizens of Monroe County. So the topics that we are working with at this point are still very high level. We're in the process of refining these with the steering committee that I will mention in a little bit. But you can see there's a broad range of topics. We'll be narrowing it down from this, but we'll be touching on all of these to some extent, but we'll focus on some more than others. I mentioned community engagement is an extremely important part of this process. It is the process that will get us to the endpoint that will make us successful. The process is really important here. So we have a steering committee. We'll talk about them in a second, but they will be meeting, and they have been meeting already twice since August, and they will continue to meet with us through the time frame of the project, which will wrap up before the end of 2022. We will be hosting public meetings and workshops. We will have specific municipal and stakeholder focus groups. So municipal focus groups we'll be inviting elected leaders from various municipalities to come together and talk about what issues they have in their communities. We will also have stakeholder focus groups. So those will be based on topics that we're interested in. It will also be based on priorities that we've identified. We'll have a public speaker series, and this will be designed to allow people like yourself to attend other meetings and have materials that you can share. So if you're a member of Rotary or you're a member of some other board or committee and you think that the Monroe County Comprehensive Plan is of interest to them, we want to equip you to go to them and tell them about it and make sure that they get involved as well. Of course, online engagement, everything happens online today, even if it happens in the real world. So we have a project website, we will be doing email blasts as necessary, and we will be utilizing Monroe County social media channels. And then pop-it in events. So this is a typical planning strategy where you go to where people are instead of inviting them to your meeting. And the idea behind that is you reach a group of people that you wouldn't otherwise get. They don't have the time or the resources to get to the meetings that you will be holding. So you stop into places that they may be. So think of farmers markets, think of festivals in the summer, think of other events where lots of people will be gathered and we can essentially bend their ear for a little bit and ask them what they think about Monroe County. And then of course, we will be meeting with all of the municipalities in Monroe County. As I said, we need to work with them and build off what they're currently doing to make this a successful effort. So the steering committee was appointed by County Executive Bello back in August. You can see the list of names here. We believe we have a well-rounded group of people to help guide and lead us through this process. So the steering committee will advise us. So they'll help make sure that we know what we're doing, help check us when we are making decisions, whether they're good or bad. They will communicate for us, as I mentioned, using that public speaker series format. They will inform us about specific subject matter that they are knowledgeable on that we might not have the knowledge on firsthand. They also will be our kind of pulse of what's going on. They will take this back to their communities and let us know whether we are on the point. If not, we will have to adjust and move forward. And lastly, they will be reviewing all materials that go out to the public, including any sort of final drafts or any sort of draft plan documents that will be produced. This is a broad project schedule. You can see it goes from the beginning of middle of 2021 till the end of 2022. It is our goal to have a draft document ready in the fall of 2022 and a final document ideally put before the legislature in the end of 2022, if not 2023, depending on timeframes. So what is going on right now? So you'll see this flow chart on the left side. It's a little bit crazy, but that is true of the planning process. It is not a linear process. It goes back and forth. We move forward a little bit and then go back a little bit and sideways sometimes. So we are working on public outreach. As Director Liss mentioned, we had a public announcement on Saturday and we are officially engaging with the community, which is very exciting for us. We've been waiting to do that and we're eager to get out and hear what people think about this process and also make them aware of it, because we recognize that counties people don't understand what a county does for them, and a county planning process even less so. So we want to make sure that we educate as we move forward and then get feedback from them as we're moving through this process. We have another steering committee meeting coming up in December. We are working on those municipal focus groups as we speak, planning for pop-up events, which is an exciting process. And then what we'll be doing soon. So we'll be planning for stakeholder or topic focus groups. We'll be working on county and municipal profiles, which will be specific documents relevant to each municipality in Monroe County, helping us understand how they tie into the county and the comprehensive plan. And of course, we'll be soliciting public feedback. So something we said before, we will be closely coordinating this with Bring Monroe Back. So as you're probably aware, the federal government has allocated over $1.9 trillion with $350 billion to local governments. Monroe County is receiving $144 million of that. And so whatever they do, we will be aware of, and whatever we do, they will be aware of. Their process will be wrapping up before ours, but that actually is a good thing because it will give us some foundation to build upon.
Pat,
yep.
When does the 144 million have to be spent by?
So the 144 million needs to be spent to some degree immediately, but I believe there's a 6-year time frame on that. I'm not the project lead on that. Rebecca Case-Keiko is, but my understanding is they have at least 5 to 6 years to expend the money, and I believe 3 to 4 to allocate the money.
And are there elements of that in order to participate with the American Rescue Plan? Areas that we have to address to enable, to be able to be awarded the 144 million? I think we have to spend a certain amount in each area, infrastructure, highways,
I unfortunately don't have the answers to that because that is under Rebecca Case-Keiko's role. But my understanding is the money can be fluid between the areas, and it is up to Monroe County how to determine how to spend that money and where it should go.
That would be helpful to know, and what the time period is when the money needs to be spent.
And part of it is meant to be spent immediately, of course, because it is an economic recovery goal.
Exactly.
But
right.
Part of it is long-term as well to fix some structural issues in municipalities.
Okay.
And I do encourage you to use this link to go to the survey. It allows you to have your voice heard about where the money should be spent. And we can make sure that Rebecca can come on here and address this in more detail if you'd like. All right. So some fun stuff. Plan Forward. This is the brand. We have some postcards that we're sending out in public. And as I mentioned, we're working on social medias as well. So what are the next steps? So we have several next steps, which is we need to do some data work, inventory and analysis of Monroe County, identify trends that are occurring, identify things happening within the municipalities that we all need to be aware of. We need to work on those focus groups. We need to plan for those future meeting dates. Next steps for this board. So we'll be working on an economic development focus group at some point. So we encourage you to participate in that. We will be working with economic development, Monroe County's department and COMIDA to identify people to work on that. Please don't hesitate to reach out to this department or use the plan forward email to say, I'm interested, I want to be a part of this process, because we want interested individuals. And we also want you to participate, spread the word, and champion the effort, because we know that this plan will only be successful if the most amount of people in Monroe County can know about it. All right, so that's some contact information. Jane Nicholson is the project lead at EDR, which is Environmental Design and Research. These other emails, of course, go to me. Feel free to use any of them to contact us regarding the comprehensive plan. And I believe we have a appearance about ARPA. So I will turn it over to Rebecca.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Rebecca Keiko. I am the individual at the county who's helping to spearhead this effort around the ARPA funds that we have, the $144 million. So I was overhearing it on the YouTube channel, so I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Thanks for joining, Rebecca. And did you want to repeat some of those questions that you had for Pat regarding the $144 million?
Just the timing of it, you know, when does the money have to be spent by, and are there guidelines into which area that the money has to be spent, whether it's infrastructure or healthcare, or, you know, what was the money designated for when the federal government allotted these funds?
Sure. So we have approximately 3 years to expend the cash, and we have 5 years to essentially voucher for it, truly spend the money. So it has to be accounted for within 3 years and then spent within the 5. We also have there's some broad areas that the money can be focused on: infrastructure, revenue replacement. But broadly, what we are trying to focus on is take the categories that the federal government has identified and start to narrow it down to areas that, as a community, through multiple resources and reports and recommendations that have already been established, that unfortunately we didn't necessarily have the money to implement those recommendations. We're using this as an opportunity to identify what are the priorities of these multiple recommendations that the community has embraced and wants to pursue, and then figuring out ways over the next 3 months, we're going to collect that information, and then the 3 months after, we are going to be making some determinations as to how we spend that money. We expect to have a framework of spending probably by first to second quarter of next year.
Did you say that we have 3 years to identify the areas and then 5 years to spend the funds?
3 years to essentially allocate, to expend it, making sure that we've identified. So let's say we're going to give $1 million to nonprofit A for language access. That would be the expended component, and that would have been checking off that box. We can allocate that within our budget. But by the end of the 5 years, it has to be fully spent.
I see. Thank you.
So salaries paid, such.
Right.
Any other questions that I can offer at this earlier stage of the game? All right.
Certainly a comprehensive
Rebecca.
plan.
Thank you.
I don't think we've missed anything there. So
Rebecca is our Deputy Director of Planning and Development, just so everyone is aware here in the department.
what is her last name?
Rebecca's last name is Keiko, C-A-I-C-O.
C like Charles?
Yes. Rebecca Case CAICO, like briefcase, CASE, CAICO, CAICO. Mhm.
Thank you.
And I'm happy to take any questions if anyone has any specific questions on the Plan Forward Comprehensive Plan.
Well, we appreciate all of your good efforts in the development of the plan. It sounds very exciting. The fact that we haven't had one in 40 years is not a very good record. So hopefully it'll be, really bring Monroe County up to date and allow us to, certainly utilize the American Rescue funds that are available. But, in a smart way, we have a comprehensive plan that we're developing to move forward with, to plan forward.
Yeah, and one thing that is to distinguish ARPA from the comprehensive plan is a bit to be a little longer lasting in terms of what we're thinking and focusing on, whereas ARPA is really about immediate spending and then some shorter term spending, whereas the comprehensive plan will be focusing on the next 10 to 15 years. So they tie in very well together, and we're excited to have both opportunities at the same time.
Sounds great. Any questions from the board on this? Okay, thank you, Pat and Rebecca. Anna, any other business?
None from me, and I will certainly let the members of the board know if anything comes up in between now and our next meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Before we adjourn the meeting, I did thank the staff and the team, Anna and her team, for doing such a great job for us month after month. But I also would like to acknowledge our board members and all of the time that you spend in all of our efforts every month, in your time commitment, but your desire to really move a lot of these really important projects forward. So, and your involvement, it's not a passive involvement, it's hands-on. So anyway, thank you very much for your time and efforts. All right, any other business? Hearing none, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
I'll motion in.
Thank you, Joe, and Jay seconded. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, motion carries. Meeting adjourned, and we'll see you on November 16th. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Thank you,
Bye-bye.
everyone.
Bye.